picked off by Miller. Miller tries to sidestep Clark. Offensive foul. And Clark is slow to get to her feet.
As Marshall went down hard. So Lewis.
When Iowa's season took a brutal hit, Caitlin Clark didn't post stats or highlights. She made a move that spoke louder than any buzzer beater. Let's dive right in. The moment Taylor McCabe collapsed in the opening minute against Ohio State, the atmosphere inside Carver Hawkeye Arena shifted instantly.
On Brittany Smith instead, Marshall really got hit in the face.
Yeah, right here. She's trying to just get the pass. She got it right in the face, yeah.
The last foul is under.
What should have been a routine start to a dominant conference win turned into a silence that every basketball fan recognizes immediately. And within hours, the MRI confirmed what everyone feared most: a torn ACL, season-ending, devastating, and unforgiving. For Iowa, this was not just an injury. This was a disruption to rhythm, identity, and momentum at a point in the season where stability matters more than talent. McCabe was not a headline star, but she was a connector, a spacing piece, a shooter defenses had to respect. Losing her meant more than replacing 8.1 points per game. It meant reworking rotations, redefining confidence, and confronting doubt earlier than expected. That is when Caitlin Clark stepped in.
My goodness. Well, Diamond Miller trying to get herself downhill, and she just crashed to the ground. Here's Caitlin Clark early on getting downhill.
Not with a speech, not with a press conference, not with a calculated brand move, but with a simple message that landed exactly where it needed to. Clark commented publicly, reshared McCabe's post, and made it clear that she was watching, she cared, and she remembered exactly what it feels like to be in that position. The words "legend, lot to be proud of" carried weight not because of length, but because of who they came from.
Foul, and the crowd howling here.
Add some velocity to it.
Contact in the face, the reason for the upgrade.
Clark has not worn an Iowa jersey in 2 seasons, yet her presence still lingers around the program in ways that are impossible to ignore. That connection is not symbolic, it is active. She follows games. She checks in. She understands the emotional architecture of that locker room because she helped build it. And when McCabe went down, Clark knew exactly what Iowa needed most: reassurance that they were not alone in the moment. This was not nostalgia, this was leadership. Taylor McCabe's injury arrives at a particularly cruel time. Iowa had already proven it could survive life after Clark, climbing to an 18-2 record and establishing itself as a serious Big Ten contender again. The narrative was stability, evolution, and continuity. Losing McCabe so early in conference play ripped that script apart. Suddenly, the question was not whether Iowa could win games, but whether it could protect its confidence while adjusting under pressure. Clark's outreach mattered because she understands that fragility better than anyone. She knows how quickly momentum can flip, how injuries don't just impact bodies, but belief. Her own career has been shaped by that reality more recently than people realize. Her 2025 WNBA season with the Indiana Fever was a constant battle with availability, uncertainty, and frustration. Quadriceps strain, groin issues, another groin setback. Eventually, the season ended early. Clark watched her team push all the way to the WNBA semifinals without her on the floor, forced to lead from the bench instead of the logo. That experience changed her, and if you want to know more, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit like my friends. Clark's voice now carries a different tone, less about dominance, more about presence, less about performance, more about impact. When she reached out to McCabe, it was not from a pedestal. It was from a place of shared vulnerability. She knew exactly what it means to watch a season unravel without warning. What makes this moment especially powerful is that Clark did not need to do this publicly. She could have sent a private message and left it there, but by making her support visible, she sent a signal to the entire Iowa program. She reinforced continuity between eras. She reminded current players that success at Iowa is not transactional. Once you are part of it, you remain part of it. This matters in a college sports environment increasingly dominated by transfers, NIL negotiations, and short-term loyalty. Clark's gesture pushed back against that trend. It told Iowa's locker room that legacy still means something. Behind the scenes, Iowa's coaching staff understands exactly how important that message was. Losing a senior guard is emotionally destabilizing. Teammates question their roles. Younger players feel pressure accelerate overnight. Clark's public support softened that emotional blow. It reframed McCabe's injury from a sudden ending into a chapter of resilience. That narrative shift is not accidental. Clark has always understood the psychological side of the game as deeply as the tactical one. Meanwhile, Clark herself is entering a critical phase of her own career. The Indiana Fever have confirmed their preseason schedule, and for the first time in months, Clark's return feels tangible rather than theoretical. April 25th against the New York Liberty, April 30th at home versus Dallas. These are not just exhibition dates, they are checkpoints, proof of health, proof of progress, proof that the long, frustrating recovery process is nearing its reward. Clark's 2025 stat line across just 13 games was still elite. 16.5 points, nearly 9 assists, 5 rebounds, defensive impact, efficiency. But those numbers only tell half the story. The real takeaway was how much the Fever depended on her presence, even when she could not play, her voice on the bench, her input during timeouts. Her ability to steady younger teammates during playoff pressure. Indiana does not reach the semifinals without her influence, regardless of minutes played. That context makes her gesture toward Iowa even more meaningful. Clark is not operating from comfort. She is navigating her own uncertainty, yet she still made space to lift others. That is what separates stars from leaders. There is also a deeper layer here that deserves attention. Women's basketball is still learning how to handle continuity across levels. College icons often disappear from their former programs once they turn professional, whether intentionally or not. Clark has rejected that pattern. She continues to bridge the gap between Iowa and the WNBA, between past and present, between success and struggle. That bridge is powerful. Especially for younger players watching closely. Taylor McCabe's response to the injury was grounded, mature, and quietly defiant. She did not dramatize the setback. She acknowledged the pain, committed to recovery, and redirected her focus towards supporting her teammates. That mindset mirrors the culture Clark helped establish at Iowa. Accountability, toughness, forward motion. It is not coincidence. It is inheritance. As Iowa adjusts without McCabe, the road will not be smooth. Rotations will tighten. Shots will feel heavier. There will be nights where the absence feels overwhelming, but moments like Clark's gesture help stabilize those stretches. They remind players that adversity is not isolation, that success is not linear, that seasons are defined as much by response as by results. Clark's timing also intersects with a broader conversation about athlete responsibility beyond active competition. Her support of McCabe was not performative activism or brand maintenance. It was organic, immediate, and aligned with her values. That authenticity is why it resonated. Fans noticed not because it was loud, but because it was sincere. And sincerity carries differently when it comes from someone whose own career has been tested recently. As the Fever prepared to reintegrate Clark into game action, her leadership profile continues to expand. She is no longer just the shooter defense's fear or the passer teammates' trust. She is becoming a reference point, someone whose reactions set emotional tone, someone whose words carry reassurance in moments of chaos. That evolution did not happen overnight. It was forged through injury, absence, and perspective, and Iowa just benefited from it. For Taylor McCabe, the road ahead will be long and demanding. A CL recovery is unforgiving. It tests patience, discipline, and mental resilience. Having someone like Clark publicly affirm her value at this moment will matter more than box scores ever could. It reframes recovery as continuation rather than loss. For Iowa, the season now carries an added emotional weight. Every game becomes a tribute to what was lost and an opportunity to prove what remains. Clark's gesture did not change the injury, but it changed the emotional framing around it. That is influence. And for Clark herself, this moment reinforces a truth that has followed her everywhere she has played. Her impact does not stop at the three-point line. It travels through programs, across seasons, and into moments where basketball feels heavier than usual. That is why it did not go unnoticed. Caitlin Clark didn't step onto the court, but she still changed the moment. And sometimes, that's the kind of leadership that lasts the longest. Let us know your views in the comments below.